want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the madmen of masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
That's right. We're just real men. And we're doing stuff today.
Hey, I am Kirk M. Samuels.
And I am, we are, they are, he is, she is, and they will be Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the madmen of masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you right here on your home for healthy masculinity.
That's right. Hey, I got thrown off because I got a little notice on my laptop sitting next to me right now. This is my cell phone. I got thrown off. I got a notification on my laptop that Mad Men of Masculinity was going live. Do you know why I got that notification?
Were you a subscriber?
Because I subscribed to the channel. You know what I'm saying? Not only did I subscribe, but I hit the little bell for the notification. I didn't even have to think about it. My computer just reminded me. It told me that Mad Men was going live.
I think there might be a hint in there somewhere, y'all. Maybe
Pull it up.
Like, subscribe, hit that little bell icon, become part of the Mad Men Mafia.
We doing a Christmas special. It's free to subscribe all month long. It's free to subscribe for the month of December. It's a Christmas special. You know, when you subscribe, you hit that bell notification, there'll be no charge. So we doing a little special, you know, a little going on.
Yeah,
ain't nothing wrong with that.
Free. You can have us year round.
That's right. And there's a return policy, matter of fact. If you don't like it, if you don't like us, just unsubscribe. You know what I'm saying?
Turn it back.
Simple as that. But you know, we provide all kinds of stuff, man. We got all kinds of views on the video that we put out early this week about the end of the year and taxes, and we talk about all kinds of different topics and all those kinds of stuff, man. We're not red pilling, we ain't hating on nobody. Well, I'm hating on modern feminism, but whatever. But other than that, man,
we're gonna get into that a little bit tonight because I couldn't figure out how to download the video so I could add it to this stream. So you're gonna have to go to the Mad Men and Masculinity page on Facebook. I added it to the page there so you can watch what inspired this. Because honestly, and this is going to be a 4-men one. You know, we usually say we talk 2 men or 4 men. This is going to be a 4-men one, ladies. This is what we're talking to y'all. What do y'all want? What do you want?
Well,
what do you want?
Personally, so the video that you're talking about, you sent me earlier today, and it was a lady in the video, and she was I don't know what you call it when you basically you comment on somebody else's, but in essence, it was that in all of these single mixers events that are happening, that I guess she went to or somebody went to, all of these singles mixers, that it was all women and no men. And ultimately her whole thesis was that, in her opinion, and maybe some others, that women say we don't need no man, we don't want no man, you know, but they show up to mixers events. Men say we don't want no women, we don't need no women, and they don't show up. In other words, like it ain't even guys trying to front like they want something when they say they don't.
Yeah, it's just, you know, we keep talking about it, and you know, we're doing these episodes because we get a lot of smoke, we get a lot of flack, we get a lot of hate, a lot of ladies saying, why don't you talk about this? Why don't you talk about the good stuff? Well, this is what we see, and it keeps coming up over and over again, where we see on the dating apps and all over the Instagram and, you know, TikTok and all the different things where I don't need a man, I'm a strong independent woman, and yet you go to singles events, you go to all these other events, you go to these places where it's majority ladies. And so it's like, well, which is it? Do you want to be independent and single? And do you want to be on your own and have everything be equal? Or do you want it to be more traditional? And it's always interesting because we have these discussions, and a lot of times it's comedy. It's very much comedy because it gets into the difference between masculine and feminine communication styles. And most guys will tell you what they want. Now, granted, I was thinking about this earlier. I think a lot of us guys who are raised in single mother households maybe lean a little more towards how you say it versus what you say kind of thing. So maybe we don't always say exactly what we want, or, you know, we beat around the bush a little bit. But then what we see a lot of times, you know, coming from ladies, especially when we're talking to them or they're communicating with us as guys, is they say one thing and mean something else, and we're supposed to decipher that and read minds. And so this video has kind of cracked me up because it seems like the same thing. We want to be independent, strong women. I don't need a man, but then y'all showing up at the singles events like overwhelmingly. So which is it?
Well, and I wouldn't, and another thing I just realized, not really, but that man, you can go in here and you can actually hit share. You can share this video not only to your timeline, but you can share it to your story and all kinds of other stuff, man. Anyhow, I wouldn't have any kind of perspective or any kind of experience with this per se, other than the fact that we are. Affiliated. We have friends with. We're friends of a couple of people that have women, or not women's, but have dating groups, dating organizations, even a full-on business involving connecting men and women in multiple cities and all this other stuff. And kind of the one thing that we hear, or I've heard over and over again from them, is it's hard getting men to show up. And it's all, and I mean, back when I was kind of in that space, I would get the message, and you've gotten the text messages at the last minute, like, "Hey, we need guys. Would you come? Would you show up to this event because we need guys. We got too many women." And so, that's where I see, maybe what she's saying is true in terms of it's just primarily women showing up to these singles kind of events. And so then my question was and is, are women really interested in relationships?
And it's a good question. I can't answer that question. I mean, I can put in my 2 cents, which is I think they are, but it has to be within their laundry list of requirements. And if you don't meet that laundry list of requirements, then it's later, junior. I'm out the door, gonna go find the next guy that gives me attention. So at least that's the what we're seeing. I mean, as a hopeless romantic, I hope that's not true. I hope there are still good ladies out there that want relationships, that want to be supportive and loving and all those things with a man. But then again, a lot of the evidence we're seeing nowadays is that there's just a lack of guys who really even want to play the game anymore because they keep getting burned. But to your point,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, and that's obviously your experience. Mine is I actually, and I followed up my original text with you with another text, a question, rhetorical, not so much question, and that is, maybe it's, are modern women really interested in relationships? Because I think there's almost a stigma amongst modern feminism of, I'm going to say, conformity or adaptation or whatever it is. And meaning, like, you ain't got to change. Nothing about you has got to change. You don't have to adapt. You don't have to do anything different. You shouldn't have to do anything different or be anything different to be in a relationship. And that is the farthest thing from anybody that's in a long-term relationship, a long-term committed relationship, uh, will tell you and readily acknowledge that you got to do stuff different. You got to be willing to adapt. I don't know if conform is the right word, but surely adapt to that. And I think modern feminism is all about, you don't do nothing wrong. You're perfect the way you are. There's nothing to be fixed. There's nothing to be changed. There's nothing to be all of that. And so maybe it comes down to, are modern women really interested in relationships these days? And that, your words might say one thing, but your actions probably say something different.
Well, I mean, and this kind of reminds me of, maybe we even take it the other way. Are modern men interested in relationships? And what we're seeing is that, 33% of them are just saying no. And we have our ideas, we have our theories, but a lot of it has to come down to there's no accountability. And every time because like you said, there's got to be some give and take. There's got to be some adaptability, adapt or die. And when it comes to relationships, you got to have some concessions. You got to have some let's work it out conversations. And if all you get is sign language, shame, insult, gaslight, need to be right from your partner every time you're trying to get some accountability, then I mean, most guys are just like, I'm not even, don't even want to deal with it. So what we're looking for, and it's like, can we get a straight answer? What do you want? And it doesn't even have to be as like silly as that meme, what do you want for dinner? Like, what do you want? Just be straight up and honest. I realize I can hear it already. Women don't communicate that way. It's always about how you say it, not what you say. And you got to read the subtleties. I'm a guy. I need some straight answers. I need you to be like, what do you want? Just tell me what you want. And what we're seeing is a lot of times, I think nowadays, especially like to your point with modern women in relationships, I don't even know if they want. I don't think they know what they want because they're getting so much information, getting influenced so many different ways that they think they want one thing and then they get it and they don't want that. Then maybe they move on to the next thing and they don't like that. And I don't know. It's hard to figure it out these days.
It's modern. The difference is modern versus somewhat or some sense of traditional values in the women that are out there in the market. And if I was a single guy, or if I was talking to a single guy, um, I would say be careful at the type of woman you're attracted to and the type of woman you're willing to get into a relationship with. And as soon as you start to hear that, what you call sign language, the sign, that sign language, shame, insult, guilt need to be right. I think that's when you need to turn and beat feet in another direction. As soon as you get, now nobody's perfect and everybody's going to have bad days and that kind of stuff. But when you get like some of those red flags, don't ignore them because you're going to end up paying for that in the long run. Now, if you find a woman who has some traditional values, who has some sense of, the importance of relationship and how it can benefit her and what she needs to do from her perspective to contribute to that, then I think that's a great thing to look out for. And there are women out there like that. There are women out there who believe in traditional values, and I think maybe more and more women are seeing that the way mom did it ain't working or didn't work. The way mom taught me to do it didn't work. I mean, I got to do it another way if I want this. I mean, unless you like pumping your own gas. I mean, unless you like killing a spider, unless you like getting up and investigating what that bump is in the middle of the night, et cetera, et cetera. Unless you like opening your own door, um, all of those kind of things. If you're just married to that thing that's in the top drawer of your nightstand, then okay, then go be it. But otherwise, if you want a warm body to go with that, then so be it. And I'll come back in a little bit and kind of give that same perspective even to men if we're talking to men. But I think it's what you look for. I mean, as soon as you see that modern woman crap, man, just bone out. Peace. Like, I'm out of here. Hit that ejection, reach up, pull the rings, blow the canopy, and get out of there like Maverick and Goose. Well, you get out of there like Maverick, not like Goose. Goose didn't do so good. Maverick had a traditional woman ejection. Goose had a modern feminist ejection. He got stuck in the canopy and it didn't end so well for him.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's what's happening. I mean, we did the episode, and I mentioned it earlier. 33% of men, young men nowadays, are just opting out of relationships altogether because they don't see what's in it for them. They don't see a gain in jumping into that, and I think a lot of it's because we, aren't blind. They're not blind. They see the modern feminist narrative, and they're like, well, why get into that? Why would I go into this when it's all against me? It's all on my shoulders. And then when I try to talk to ladies and I try to ask them what they want, I don't get a straight answer. And then it's always this end around stuff where I'm just supposed to figure it out. And then I'm always wrong. So, I mean, there's not a lot of good sense of reward for most guys nowadays. So they're just not feeling like there's a good reason to get into it. And so now, honestly, ladies, if you do know what you want and you're willing to compromise and be a accountable human being, it doesn't take a lot for most modern men to be really happy nowadays. You can do a whole lot less than your great grandmothers did, your grandmothers did, what the moms had to do back in the 40s and 50s or whatnot. I mean, most guys nowadays, if you're nice and peaceful and pleasant to be around and good conversation, and you might want to cook occasionally, maybe help clean up around the house a little bit. I mean, the normal adult things that we all have to do as adults, and you want to do that together, you're probably going to find a lot of guys who are down with that and on that, want to jump right on board with that ship. But that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing this kind of bipolarism of online versus reality. I don't need no man, but then all the ladies are at the singles event, and then so, well, what do you want? How about some honesty? Quit playing games.
Yeah. Resetting madmen and masculinity. This is our mid-in week kind of 30-minute little sesh. We just talk about, random stuff, man. And today we're just talking about, what do you want, and really it
What do
comes
you
down
want?
to, our women or our modern women really interested in relationships. And I think, first of all, shout out all of our sponsors, Castle Rock Men's Health, Barry L. Overton, real estate guru. He's like Gandalf the wizard, man, just doing real estate wizardry all around the state of Colorado. Um, and some other sponsors that are coming up and all that kind of stuff. But shout out to them. But I think ladies, if for the ladies that really in their heart of hearts want a good man, you got to stop being a good man. You
Ouch.
gotta back off some of the stuff that modern feminism tells you have to be, which is career driven as the most important thing in your life. The leader of a household. The most domineering. The boss babe. All that kind of stuff is the only thing that's going to get you is a cold bed at night, or maybe some more dogs to share the bed with you. But that's about it. And so yeah, if you want a good man, you got to stop being a good man.
Yeah, and I think you have the choice. And it comes back to the accountability thing. You have the choice. You can have the career, you can have the business, you can have all the things. But I think the lie that's being told and that we keep reiterating is that the modern feminist movement, like Kirk was saying, there's you can just be whatever you want to be and then expect it to get the world. It doesn't work that way. Every choice has consequences. Every blessing has the opposite curse that goes along with it. Like being a family man, being a father, being a mother means you're responsible for those kids for at least 18 years and, financially, physically, medically, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's part of the responsibility that comes with the blessing. If you want to have the career, there's the responsibility that comes with that. Long hours, you're less attracted to a lot of guys because you're probably in your masculine. You can do whatever you want, just accept the curse that comes with the blessing, accept the accountability of your choices. But we keep seeing that there's no accountability. There's no holding anybody accountable, for on the lady side, really, for their choices. And it's like, well, I was told to do this and I was told to do that. And I did that. Now I'm unhappy. It's like, well, you didn't stop to think about what the consequences of those actions are. Because guys are told from day one, here are the consequences to your actions. Nobody's coming to save you. You are responsible for everything that happens in your life. And so now ladies are starting to get some of that. And I think that's where a lot of this, I don't know what you want kind of, situations coming in where we hear one thing and then we see another. There's just too much information being thrown around, too much influence. And I don't think anybody is really grounded in, okay, who am I? What do I want? And where am I going? And what am I willing to give to get that? And what are the consequences I'm willing to take? So it gets back to accountability. I know it's your favorite word, but accountability.
I'm not saying that that women these days shouldn't work. I wouldn't go that far personally. I love the fact that my wife has a job. I love the fact that, really at certain times of the year, or it kind of comes and goes based on her career field, but sometimes she makes more than me. And I'm not saying that, that women can't do whatever, but do you really want to have to do everything? If you don't want to have to do everything, then sometimes you need to sit down and shut up. Meaning, I mean, that sounds bad, but sometimes you need to like literally step back. You need to step back and let somebody else in that spot. Let somebody else take the lead. Let somebody else make a decision. But if you got to be up in there doing all this, and if you want to be all up in the face, all up in the point position, if you have to make all the decisions, then don't complain when you don't have anybody to help you make decisions. I mean, that's what I mean by sometimes you need to back off, and you need to be willing to, when that good man comes into your life, you need to be willing to back off and let him be the good man. But if you can't let that go, I know some of y'all are single parents and you got to work and you got to pay bills and all that kind of stuff. But guess what? When a man comes into the picture, if you don't back off and allow him to be the man, that man is going to bounce. That man is going to go find somebody that is, because there's more of y'all out there than it is us. I mean, in terms of the scales of balance of who's in the field. I mean, I mean, there's good men out there, but compared to, the female population that say they want a good man, I mean, there's definitely we're in the advantage. But again, at the same time, if you want that, then you need to be what it is that you say. You need to be feminine. You need to stop being masculine. You need to stop trying to be boss babe and stop trying to whatever over on top of him. Like you need to stop trying to cap him. Go out and kick butt and all that kind of stuff. And when you come home, if you can't lay all that down, we got a problem because I'm not laying it down. Because when that bump goes in the middle of the night, I'm getting up. You not. I mean, when your gas tank gets empty, I'm taking it to the gas station. I'm taking out the trash. Etc. I'm doing all the grunt work that you don't want to. I'm taking that load off of you. So if you can't back off and let me be the man that I want to be, I'm gonna find somebody else that will.
It's interesting because I'm listening, and it sounds like a good deal, and I don't understand why it's such a this whole idea that surrender is a bad thing. It makes you weak, and that it's, if you let a man lead, then somehow you're less than. It sounds like teamwork. It sounds like we're both playing our roles, and that you're allowing him to do what he's good at. He's allowing you to do what you're good at, and you're actually being a team. But this whole competition thing, and I think that's where a lot of this comes from, is that it's like now it's incumbent upon women to be everything. And I wrote it in a book. We talked about it, I don't know how many times, but aren't you tired of being everything? Don't you want some support? But when you aren't allowing that support in, then you're going to be tired because you got to do everything. And we did so many episodes on the effect that has on your kids and the effect on, you know, so many other aspects of life when you don't allow support. So, what do you want? Do you want to be the boss babe and do everything all on your own, or do you want to split the effort, split the energy, and get some support? Because I mean, it's really not that hard. There's gonna be so many guys out there that would love to be your support if you allow him to be your support. But you got to step off the pedestal. You got to, put down the uh, fireworks and all the things that you've been using to try to run the world, and allow him to come in and support you.
Yeah. Now, I'll flip the coin over and say that I recognize the fact that these days men can find a lot of things that we get from women in other ways. I'm not a fan of all that. I'm not a fan of the idea of just checking out. I mean, to me, it's easier to, yes, it's easier to pay somebody to come clean your house, meaning help you domestically. It's easier to get a meal plan and help you and have your meal shipped to you, and you don't even have to worry about somebody helping you on the domestic front. It's easier to spend all day and all night on a porn website, and get your sexual fulfillment. I think that's, to a lot of men's detriment. It was to my detriment. Um, so I'm not a fan of that, but I'm just talking the reality. The reality is, that's what overwhelmingly a lot of men, including married men, are doing. They're getting their needs met, their feminine needs met in artificial ways. And so, but ladies, what that means is you have the opportunity, because men do want real stuff. Like there are a lot of good men that want real life relationships, and are willing to put in the work and the effort and the challenge. A lot of good men. But I'm telling you, especially the older we get, we just ain't putting up with a whole lot of nonsense. We ain't putting up with a whole lot of junk, man. And especially, a masculine woman that's gonna boss us around. There are simps out there. There are, what they call the beta types that will, but by far, most of the men I know that are in our 40s and 50s and older are like, yeah, ain't nobody got no time for all that at
Mm-mm.
all. Period.
So let's just break that down. I mean, he said it. Let's make it very clear. If a man can get a maid, a cook, and a prostitute, what does he need you for, ladies? And so when you bring the drama and you bring the masculine energy, when you bring all these things, you wonder why guys are stepping out. You wonder why when you go to singles events, it's mostly ladies and guys just aren't there. We're not getting those things that we need: the feminine support, the companionship, the um, caring, nurturing, the things that we just crave from our woman. That softness. We're not getting that. All we're getting is a lot of not. And this is 51 out of 100, so it's not everybody, but over, majority, they're getting the boss babe, they're getting the ball buster, they're getting the, got to be all up in the business and trying to run the train and run the ship and not allowing for support and then doing nothing but nagging and criticizing. So he's going to step out because that's not fun for him. That's not supportive for him. So he's going to go, well, it's just easier to get a maid and get a cook and hire a prostitute than to have to deal with that in my house.
Yeah. Now I will tell you that what he can't get from those things is peace and intimacy. And that's what he is looking for. That's what you can do that all of those things can't, ladies. That's what a guy can get from a committed relationship to a real woman: peace and intimacy. The problem is, it's very hard, if not impossible, with modern feminism to get peace and intimacy, because when you come home, you got to fight and you gotta climb your way to the top of the relationship, like you do when you leave out in the morning and go out and conquer the world. Because when you come home, it's just more confrontation. It's just more, who's the bigger boss and who's got the bigger whatever. It's just more of that when you come home to a modern feminist type of woman. There is no peace. There's none of that. You can't just come home and put your feet up because you got to be on guard at home, competing for this and competing for that and all that other kind of stuff, man. And there's definitely no intimacy because you're not trustworthy, because you want to put everything on social media, because you want to write books, selling all your husband's secrets, because you want to tell your friends, because you want to have the leg up, you want to win, and there's no intimacy when somebody's trying to win, right? I mean, you're not a soft place for me to land when you're competition and when you're, looking for your opportunity, looking for your come ups. And so, unfortunately, again, I think it's a matter of, a traditional feminism versus modern feminism. And I think, ladies, you got to choose which one you want to be and what the outcome of those are. And I think men, you got to choose which one of those you want and what the outcome of that is. Because I'm telling you, one of the biggest, if not the biggest choice that we make as men is who we connect our lives with relationally. Because, man, it is the multiplier or the divider of your lineage, your legacy, and your life.
Yeah, it makes me think that, we talk a lot about the 1% guys that all the ladies want and, the top tier people. But I'm just thinking that you ladies between like 25 and 35 that have that traditional mindset, that want to have that traditional relationship, you're like the top 1% of ladies now. Because mostly the ladies over 35 have divorced, have kids. So they're, that's more baggage and more responsibility for a man coming in. And then the younger ladies who bought all into the feminist narrative and are doing their OnlyFans and only want guys for money and sugar daddies, things like that, they're not attractive either. So if you're in that 25 to 35 and you haven't been married and you want a traditional relationship, you're now the top 1% of ladies to the guys now. You can have any man you want because you're feminine and nurturing and traditional and want to fulfill that role and be a partner with him. Because I mean, even to Kirk's point, we all nowadays everything's getting so expensive, we all have to work. So yeah, I mean, the difference is, are you going to be the CEO, boss babe, ball buster when you come home, or are you both going to be on the same team? He's going to go out and work and do his thing. You're going to go out and work and do your thing. You're going to come back and put the bacon together with the eggs and make a meal. So what do you want?
Traditional feminism says that femininity is that inner beauty. Modern feminism says that femininity is putting needles in your face. And that's the difference between the two, man. And, we were talking about this around the house the other day that, women control access to sex and reproduction. Men control access to relationships. And unfortunately, more often than not, by far, women are ending relationships, and then you end up being single and then you're like, where are all the good men? Well, you probably, I mean, you were probably the one that ended your last relationship. Could it not have been worked on? Maybe it couldn't have, but because I was unhappy that's not, that's not good enough. And so,
Yeah.
these are kind of things that we need to recognize, and we need to say, okay, who do I want to be? What do I want to be? And what do I really want? What am I willing to do to get that?
Yeah. Yeah. I think when you get unhappy, when things aren't working, that should be a sign to work on it, not to give up on it. I've been reading Radical Acceptance by Tara Branch, and the one main thing that she keeps talking about is when something comes up, pause, take a break, and assess what you're feeling, and ask questions. Why am I feeling this? What's the story behind it? What am I afraid of? Et cetera, et cetera. But nowadays, all we see is, oh, I'm not feeling it, I'm out. And so, what do you want? Do you want to have a relationship? Then let's learn how to have some acceptance of each other. Let's learn to have some support of each other and create these families that we all desperately want, the intimacy and the nurturing that we both really need, the peace and intimacy that comes with being in that together. What do you want?
Yeah.
It's up to you.
That's a great
You got
question,
all the power
man.
now.
You got all the power. You got to make the decisions, and keep going around the same amount. Is very, very few men, relatively speaking, dating most of the women. And so when women come up with a lot of the narrative of all men are this and all men are this, and why do I keep meeting, again, you got to decide which you're going to be, and how to get what that is that you want to be, and stop getting into dysfunctional relationships and all that stuff.
We see it so much that I think we were talking about this the other day when I was watching some newscaster or some lady being interviewed, and she said, she asked men, if you could get 80% of what you want in a woman, would you want that? He's like, 80%? That's a catch. That's like over the moon. That's way more than half. And then they asked the same thing to the ladies, and they said 80%. No, that's settling. That might be part of the issue. So what do you want? Do you want 100% of nothing or 80% of something? Just saying.
Hey, I want y'all to hit us up on madmenradio.com. I want y'all to hit us up on Facebook, YouTube. Let us know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are we crazy? Are we on to something? Do you want to cancel us? That'd be great. We'd love for somebody to try to cancel us. I hope something we said offended somebody. Because that's when we're pushing you outside of your comfort zone to either like it or not like it. Let us know if you like it or don't like it. So hit us up. We'll reply. We're pretty responsive and all those kind of good things. And we love each and every one of y'all, man. The Madmen Mafia, the Madmen Mob, all of y'all, man. We love all of y'all, man. We look forward to hearing from you.
That it's still growing, and we're make sure you leave some comments. Make sure you let us know you're out there. Tell us what you like, what you hate, and then until next time, Madman out.